All right, folks, we are joined here by another special guest today, our good friend Allan Staple from the Staple Crew. How are you doing, brother?
Fantastic, Zach. It's good to be with you again.
Excited to have this conversation. We're going to discuss macro, the Clarity Act, and then I told Allan I want some good XRP hot takes for us here at the end of this episode. And um, I know in our crypto space we say trust but verify. I'm going to tell you guys to trust me on this, that Allan is definitely a good guy and part of our XRP family. We love Allan and the content that he's putting out. So I'm going to put all of his links down below. For those who don't know you, Allan, what got you into crypto and what brought you to the XRP family?
Well, originally I decided that I was going to try and figure out a better way to make a buck. And I was a gold bug and still am a gold bug and silver bug. Good to be a silver bug these days.
Amen.
And I've always been a macro guy, a stockbroker back in the 80s, that kind of thing. And then when this opportunity came along, I first only heard about Bitcoin, and I thought, well, Bitcoin's kind of complicated, but let me look into it. Mining, tried do some mining, had some success at that, believe it or not. But it always I always looked over, and I know this is going to make a lot of people crazy, but I looked over and XRP was less than a penny, or right around a penny, and I was like, wow, maybe I should just buy some of that just to have some of that. Of course, never did that. Didn't get into it until, 10 or 15 cents, all the way up into 15, 20 cents range. But I really got into it because it's pretty obvious. If your banking community is going to control the money and the assets of the planet, why wouldn't you buy into something that's going to help with the transactions and the ODL and all the rest of it that it's going to create for the world? That's an obvious no-brainer for me. So that was an easy one to transfer into XRP,
Yeah, absolutely.
among 10 other coins.
Yeah. But I love it. It's so funny to look back now while we're up here above $2 and we went up to 360 last year about kicking ourselves for not buying at a penny, right? And then a lot of us like myself would regret not buying more when it was 10, 20, 30 cents. I remember during the March 2020 simulation crash, I was scared to buy XRP at 10 cents because I thought the world was ending. And I also was getting a little greedy with my little calculator. And I was calculating up how much XRP I could buy if it went down to 5 cents instead of just buying it 10 and 11 cents. It was crazy. And we look back on it. And I think that a lot of people are going to be kicking themselves for not buying more XRP even at these current prices, too. So, Allan, tell us about your show. How often are you dropping content and going live these days?
I'm going live twice a week. Content, I was dropping two shows a week. My show's sort of tapered back off. I'm not doing near as much crypto analysis as I was before because you and Brad and DAI and so many other people are doing such a great job. There was absolutely no way I'm going to compete with your talents. So I thought I'd go ahead and get more into, okay, we got this bag, we got this giant bag of crypto, we know where it's going, we know where our success lies. Okay, how do I make a living? How do I go ahead and keep my bag and still earn some money? And so residual income is really where my focus has been. I do a live show on Thursday nights for at least an hour, sometimes two or three. And it's really been, how do I vet products? How do I vet different people and companies and trading platforms and different things? And I really got started with DeFi, is where I got started. And I thought DeFi is so complicated for these DEXs are just very complicated for a lot of people. So I thought, well, I'll boil it down and I'll make it real simple for everybody. And I never really found a simple solution yet. So I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to go into what I really know well, which is banking, different products along banking, and how we're going to use those going forward. And insurance programs and some stuff like that to where they earn monthly income for you to where you can actually retire and not have to sell your bag, which was the whole key to the whole show. Thursday night is like, how do I get somebody to put some 401k money into Link to or whoever and
And don't mention
not
that
Link
name,
to
Allan.
not that not linked to, sorry, uh, but anyway,
Yeah,
non-linked to is what I meant to say.
yeah, yeah.
You don't want to put your money at risk with anybody, and you want to have control over your money and your funds. And that's what I really was trying to get done.
Mhm.
And I think I found a couple of opportunities.
Yeah,
So
I'm excited to
I'm
hear
really
about that.
excited about both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate, people love, I think you have a very humble approach. I appreciate your shout out. And I think that this community, I want to say this right now just because you kind of brought it up. More now than ever before, we need to come back together. I remember when we were in the middle of the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit, we were all united, right? We had one common enemy. It was the SEC, and we banded together like never before. When we get tested, in a market right now that's not in a full-blown bear market, but just consolidating, a lot of folks are frustrated and a lot of new people are coming in. We need to lead by example and show them what the XRP army or family is all about, right? Which is uniting together, one common goal, even if we don't have to have an enemy right now, right? That's why I say we've kind of transitioned from the XRP army to the family. We want to put down our shields and our swords, but let's remain united right now, right? There's so many distractions, so much conflict, so much chaos out there. And I think the beauty of the XRP family is that we have something here that can bring us all together, and we need to lead with that and lead with that utility. Now, Allan, real quick, I want you to plug. You're gonna have a in real life. I know that's kind of foreign for some of us in the crypto space, bunkered up in our little offices here. But I encourage everybody to get out and meet some members of the XRP family in real life. And you're hosting an event here at the end of the month. So can you tell us about that one?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Zach. The 29th, 30, and 31st, Fort Lauderdale. We'll have a link down below in the show notes. It's an opportunity for us to get together. Every time I go to a crypto show, and I always say the same thing to myself, gosh, I wish lunch was longer. I wish the breaks were longer. And the stage is great because you get a lot of information, but a lot of that information I get from channels like this one. So I don't necessarily want to travel across the world and go to a show to where I can get, content that I can already get from Zach, who's doing all the diligence and checking all the pages and giving us the information every single day. So what I really want is community. I want network. I want a family feel. And when you go there, it's lunchtime. After the shows, typically is when we get together, we have a drink, we relax, and there's 50, 100 people, 200 people sometimes at these bars or places that we're at. And it's one big community. I really wanted to do a show that focused on community and networking. And you are part of something in this XRP family that you can't reproduce. I don't know if you go around to other shows, but I go to shows, and when I do, I always say to myself, "Well, where's my people? Where's my family?" It's great. It's a tech show or something like that, but it's like I need to see my family and the group and the people that have committed to our group. And what I really like about that is we all see the same future for all of us, and we're all hoping for the same outcome. And when you put something together like that, it's a lot of fun. So every year I've gotten a little bigger and a little bigger and a little bigger. And this one is a probably, I don't know, 400 or 500 people event. And I think it's the kickoff point. I don't think it's the ending. It's something I'm probably going to do every year. I hope that it goes that well. And it's just going to be speakers that are there who are there to help you earn money and taxation and help you solve problems in your life and your financial solving. Because there's too much going on. There's too much rumor. There's too many people telling you, oh, do this, do that over there, do this. These are things that I can bet. I know these people. I've been working with these people for a year. I know who they are. I'm going to only introduce two or three people up on the stage. And in particular, if you're an American, this is going to be a tax revolution for you.
Mm.
These people know what they're talking about, and it's very simple. And if you're in crypto, these are tax answers for you. And there's just so many quality people that, because of the avenue that we have here, Zach, we put ourselves out there and people approach us with opportunity. and the opportunities just keep flooding in and flooding in and flooding in. And as you, just like your channel, I don't endorse products. I just don't. But I do endorse people who do good things for good people for good works. And that's really what that show's about.
Amen. Amen. I always tell folks I'm more than happy to shill what I believe in and what I use, right? And I think that you're kind of the same way. And it's really a privilege to be able to connect with so many great resources for our community. So you still have room down there. We'll link it up down below, but you still have room for folks to join you down there. What's the cost to attend this event? And I'm a 3-day event. That's going to give you a lot of time to have valuable conversations.
Yeah, it does. Well, actually, it's sort of a 3 day. The first day is a golf tournament, and
Okay.
that's a best ball charity golf tournament. Just have fun with beers out and just enjoying ourselves, kind of getting to know everybody and whatnot. If you'd like to attend that, but the next day, which is a Friday, is an all-day event. There'll be food and drink all day. One of the things that bothers me about a show, it's like they wheeled the food away. And I was so busy talking to everybody, I didn't get anything to eat. It's like, no, I want to be able to break away and grab a snack or grab something whenever I need it. I want a coffee bar open all day with cappuccino there all day and an open bar basically from 12 o'clock on.
Mm.
So, it could be a fun event, you know.
Sounds
But
sounds like my type of party. Yeah. Okay.
that's right. Yeah. And well, again, in our own building, we're not part of a casino or a resort or anything like that. It's our own building. The only people that are going to be even valet parked there are people that are family members. Nobody else is going to even know that's going on. It's sort of an industrial park. It's in a private jet hangar, is where it's at. It's
No.
$400. That's all day Friday and all day Saturday. And all day Saturday is bring the family and kids. It's a park event, a big tent, bunch of chairs, and all the networking that you couldn't get done because there's too much show in the way the day before is going to be that day. It's going to be a barbecue all day, and that's all included. All meals both days are included,
Mm.
and open bar, and it's just going to be a blast. That's the kind of parties I like to throw, right?
I love it. I love it. I have to
Yeah,
remind myself at XRP Vegas and some of these others that I can't just switch from coffee to adult beverages, that I need to drink some water too and eat once in a while
yeah.
between all of the conversations and good time that we're having. I wish I could make it. We're down here to the finish line. I got baby number 3 on the way. So unfortunately, we won't be able to make it, but we are going to be sending you our best wishes. And I hope that everybody goes down there and has a fantastic time. These events are so great because you get to have some fun and you get to learn, connect, everything all there. And so we're excited to see how it goes for you, Alan. Love it. Let's get into macro here. So we have been kind of chopping. We missed our targets for 2025. Basically, if you were in crypto, not just XRP, but in crypto at all, we all thought that Bitcoin was going to go higher. We thought XRP was going to go higher. We thought we were going to have a little bit better of a time last year. But what was happening, right? We had kind of some macro headwinds working against us. Interest rates stayed elevated. The Fed was doing quantitative tightening, and our economy and business cycle was really in contraction for most of the year. We just got 2 data points, though. I just dropped an update on this. Very, very bullish signals for crypto, which was the Empire State Manufacturing Survey came in not just beating expectations, but blowing out expectations. The reading in December was negative 3.7%. And here in January, we just got a 7.7 print. So zero's neutral. Anything below that is contraction. And then obviously anything positive is going to be into expansion. Now, we also got the Philly Fed manufacturing survey. Now, in December, it was negative 8.8. And the expectation was about negative 1 point, basically negative 1. It came in at 12.6 for the month of January. All of this to say that the manufacturing sector, Empire's New York, obviously Philadelphia, 2 regional surveys, but typically a leading indicator of where the ISM Purchasing Managers Index is heading. And we've seen a very tight correlation with our crypto market when that manufacturing survey is going into expansion It's a signal that our economy is going into expansion, and it shows that the crypto market could be on the up and coming here if this is flashing that warning signal. So your take on as we wrapped up 2025, as we head into 2026, business and liquidity cycle expanding.
It's clearly all happening. I want to remind everybody that on my show, I've been telling people for 2 or 3 years now that no, the sky is not falling. And no, we're not heading into a recession. We're heading out of a recession. And that all has to do with liquidity. Obviously, they've been tightening for the last couple of years. But what's happening right now is what's known as velocity of money. And the velocity is coming back. And when you flood markets with currency, it changes the psyche of your community. If your community is spending money within the circle of friends and business in which you're in, that velocity of money starts to make people feel better about their day. If all of a sudden they have a couple of extra bucks in their wallet and they say, well, okay, well, now I can go from, hey, this is all just, I got my dog licking me right here. I'm just going from having enough money to having extra money. And when you get that feeling, it's contagious and everybody starts to have it. We haven't had that for 3 or 4 years now, right?
Yeah.
And we're on the brink of that. I don't follow his work a lot, but Raoul Paul's really done a lot of work on this. That velocity of money coming in is so key because when you see the kind of numbers that you're talking about, the PMI and all the rest of these are have everything to do with what's fundamentally happening. The fundamentals leak out into society. You can't stop that. Okay. What's happening now is people are starting to become more confident. And I know for the last couple of months, it hasn't been that way with crypto, but what you really need to feel is hey, I'm seeing less taxation. I'm getting more returns. I'm a waiter. I'm a whatever. I can write off business expenses that I wasn't able to write off prior administrations. This all means plus, 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 not minus. And what's happening with AI and all the rest of it, and the way we're building out infrastructure and we're building out not just tech, we're building out uh, electrical energy. That's something I've really focused on over the last year or two. We're building more data base than we've ever built before. We're doubling our data annually.
Mhm.
And this is prosperity for man. And a lot of people don't want to believe that, but that's the facts. And that's where we're headed. I can't wait for everyone to get that feeling of, hey, I think we're winning. I think things are going well, instead of, oh, well, I'm really nervous about tomorrow. Because that's what really starts recession and depression is when people get tight and they say, oh, well, you know what? I'm not sure that I'm going to have a job a year from now. I better keep some money back. But when people start to free spend, that's really when you feel the difference in your community. And I think it's coming.
Yeah,
I really do.
absolutely. And well, the surveys are, of these business leaders and the people running these manufacturing companies, right? They're essentially right on the ground level, right? Seeing the orders coming in, placing the orders themselves. This is the economic engine of America coming back, right? And we absolutely love
Yes.
to see it. You combine this with the Clarity Act, which is now being considered. We have a delay, right, where the Senate Banking Committee has pushed it back. Senate Ag has pushed it back as well too. A little bit more time for debate. I'm going to read off a quote here from Brad Garlinghouse. This was from today here in St. Moritz. Brad Garlinghouse says, quote, Brian Armstrong and the Coinbase team have raised, fair concerns. I was surprised how vehemently they came out and said, look, we can't support this. The rest of the industry really is still leaning in and supporting it, and I think constructively trying to work through. So Brad Garlinghouse appears to be, on one side where it's let's work with this and go through the markup process to fix it. Brian Armstrong says we can't support it right now. This is going to happen though, right? That's I think the big key takeaway. Where are you at with Clarity Act, and how big is this going to be for our overall crypto space?
Well, I mean, the Unclarity Act,
Yeah,
it not very clear. Today it got a little muddy out there, actually. I'm kind of with Brian on this to some degree. I really don't like that they want to encapsulate us all into their system.
yeah,
I really don't like this was one of the things I know this is probably not a big plus in our group here, but I've been telling people for a couple of years about Tether now. T- Tether went outside of our system for an intelligent reason because they knew that if they stayed within the enslavement of Europe government, which they avoided or got kicked out, depending on who you listen to, and then they came into the US and said, well, I'm not going to jump through all those hoops. Actually, I'm going to move to El Salvador. And they did. Well, now think about what a great move that was because all of a sudden they're able to give returns, interest rates outside of the US system. And I really think our banking platform of our nation is not going to relinquish, I don't know, what is it, global $100 trillion of money in which they give you no interest on. That's our banking system that we currently live in. Well, people being able to operate outside of our legislation of this country, okay, they're going to be able to give yield or returns or interest on your stable coins. That's a big play. That's pushing a lot of capital out of the US and into other economies. Now that I've said all that, let's remind ourselves US doesn't need stable coins. If you really look at it, we have dollars, we have bank accounts, we have whatever. However, to earn yield or interest, we it's absurd to think that anybody would keep their money in stable coins as an American. However, the beauty of it is outside of this country, they're going to be able to sell a ton of treasuries. And that's really what I think our administration really is what they're focusing on. They're not really trying to conquer the banking system tomorrow with stablecoins. I think what they're really trying to do is filter it all in through the treasury. And that's really bigger macro picture that I think that's really what they're trying to achieve. So they're not too worried about the JP Morgans today or tomorrow. I know that that's a battle. You got to remember those guys have been on Easy Street for hundreds of years to where they give us no interest at all. Why would they give that up if they don't have to? They're really not going to do that, in my opinion.
yeah, and it's interesting because if you read the bill, it doesn't ban yield completely. It just doesn't allow you to get yield for sitting in a stable coin and not doing anything, for just simply holding it. So the real fear, I think, from the bankers is we're going to lose the deposits, we're going to lose fractional reserve lending, we're going to lose our profits. So I don't think that they're opposed to yield. And they're definitely not opposed to cryptocurrency technology, as we're seeing all of them roll out their own deposit tokens and stable coins. JP Morgan has now opened up their trading desk for crypto. And this has been an interesting shift to watch right in the past year where, they had nothing to do with crypto, said they had no interest, there's no place for it in the portfolio. Now Bank of America's brand, Merrill Lynch is saying get a 4% allocation in crypto. Now that their ETFs are ready to sell, now it's safe to come into crypto. Jamie Dimon even came out and said, if my clients want me to make a market in crap, I'll make a market in crap, right? These guys are just here to make money, right? So I think
That's right.
that the important thing for everybody to remember is as frustrating as this can be, we should have had Clarity Act passed last year, maybe even years ago. Sure, we're almost
Yeah.
there, right? We're almost across the finish line, and I still remain hopeful that we're going to get this done in the next couple months. Eleanor Terrett and others are saying that the earliest we would actually see this passed by President Trump into law would be about March or April timeframe, anyways. So I don't really think there was ever a chance of it getting done this month. So let's let them hash out these issues and let's understand the ramifications of what it means to unlock the biggest economy in the world, as Brad Garlinghouse keeps on reminding us, which is the United States of America. So, with that being said, let's get into this. Ripple has really become a bank, right? And so maybe that's why they're
Sure.
not as opposed to this bill as others, because they're right there with the bankers at this point. And I was laughing at Swell when Brad basically called out the bankers to their face because the room was full of bankers. And he said how, they've done such a crappy job of taking care of their clients and they're scared of the competition. But can you speak to the acquisitions that Ripple has made and this infrastructure that they've been building out with these acquisitions of Treasury, G Treasury, and Hidden Road, which is now Ripple Prime, and Rail for stablecoins. How impressive has this
Yeah,
been for you, Alan?
I mean, absolutely crazy. Whenever they went down the hidden road angle, what was it, 3 trillion or whatever their annual market was?
Yeah, 3 trillion.
That was that was your warning shot right there. I was like, okay, they got brokerage covered. Okay, well, where else are they going to have? Well, okay, they're going to be a private bank. No, they're not going to be. They're going to be a public bank. Well, as soon as I saw them go down that road, and then look how early they got into the ETF too. I know we all thought it was late, and they kept postponing it, and they kept pushing it back and whatnot. But look at how important being and having an ETF is today with that stable with the Clarity Act. Like you got a free pass, whatever it was. I don't know, the 5 or 6 or 8 coins that actually got themselves in the ETF. They get a free pass on all that. And I really, really think that when you do the real research at all the crypto companies that there are out there, and I'm going to call them companies, there's nobody that's done anything more. They've covered all the bases. There's nothing in finance going forward. Like JP Morgan's behind them now. Like behind them in a race is what I mean. They don't have enough, they don't have the tech and they don't have the ability to move the way Ripple can. And in my opinion, that IPO, if it happens this year, I don't even know when that's going to happen. That's going to be one you're going to want to own. And I don't want to get into that again, but it's a company that is leading edge future tech, the movement of money globally, and we know where that's all headed. So of course you got to be involved. Yeah. Anybody that doesn't have a portion of their portfolio and they're in crypto and they could tell you they're a crypto authority and they don't have any XRP in their portfolio, it's like, okay, well, you haven't done the homework then, clearly, or you
Yeah.
have some sort of bias against it or whatever your issue is. But that's strategically the company that's done the most work.
Well, and we've come to find that a lot of them lie about their little moon bag that they have, right? That when they do finally get exposed for having a bag, it's just, oh, it's just my little moon bag of XRP. It's nothing serious. There's a
Yeah,
reason why you got that bag of XRP. Now,
right.
speaking of a bag of XRP and these companies, Evernorth, the digital asset treasury company now headed up by Ashish Burla, former executive at Ripple. I was just listening to the interview that he did on NASDAQ today. Very impressive. They're going to be running
Wow.
infrastructure. And the way that he explained this is it allows people to get exposure to XRP, the digital asset, without having to figure out custody, figure out, how to run infrastructure, how to invest in a liquidity pool, how to get yield on XRP. They're going to be
Yeah,
doing all of that for you. All you have to do is buy the ticker XRPN, and I'm not telling you to do so. That's not financial advice. I'm just explaining how he was basically selling their company and what they're going to be doing. And I will say that
yeah.
I am going to be a buyer of that ticker here soon because I am very interested and I think they have a great team. But your thoughts on Evernorth and how big that's going to be? I mean, can Evernorth really compete with the MicroStrategy, Michael Saylors of the world, the Bitmain, Tom Lees of the world? Is Evernorth going to be
Of
right up there
course.
with them?
They could be. I mean, of course they can compete, and they could be even bigger. Bec Look, if when you get on Nasdaq or when you offer a product that simply and that easily, and when people start to figure out who this company is and what they're up to, that's of course penny stocks for these people. These are people looking at a financial opportunity like that. That's high yield. That is not like, hey, I'm going to buy the cream of the crop, the Mag 7. I'm not going to buy any of those. I'm going to buy something with 2 or 3, 4% at high risk in my portfolio for high yield. Of course, that play in the world we live in, which everybody in the world, yourself included, is looking for high yield. That's what we're all looking for. That's why almost all of us are in this speculative assets called crypto. So when that gets out there, just think about this, right? That eliminates your need for, oh, I don't even want to get into the ridiculousness of, oh, to be an accredited investor. You're going to be able to just call Merrill Lynch up or whoever your broker is and just say, hey, I want some of that. I need that. That's what I want. And as there's going to be more channels like yourself and others that are going to educate our people to what that actually is, it's a lot easier to go to a barbecue and explain to all your friends, hey, just go look it up on NASDAQ. There it is. Buy that. Now you own this, and that's that Ripple company. And you might want to really invest in that. Oh, wow, I can do that. My broker can buy that for me. My broker right now currently won't open a wallet in my name and with my seed phrase and all the rest of it and buy the crypto for me now. So, and explaining people wallets and the rest of that, I really hope the day that that comes and when we can make that a little grandma and grandpa proof, because it really brings in it brings in the whole world, really.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think it can be as big as Michael Saylor and strategy. It'll take a while, but it could do it.
Well, and
Sure.
I love what you said there because it has come completely accessible for everybody. You can either buy an ETF, and then if you want to kind of get a little bit more leverage, right? This is why people go buy MicroStrategy instead of just buying Bitcoin, is because it's a leverage play on it. You can now go
Yeah.
buy Evernorth. So it's like go buy
Yeah.
some of the ETF if you just want to hold spot. Go buy Evernorth if you want to leverage that bet a little bit more and let them figure it all out because I've gone through the
It's
process of minting FXRP, going over to Flare, deploying it. I've deployed it all over their ecosystem. And I got to go back and do a follow up video on that and track and see if I've made money or lost money. But it was a relatively complicated process. I mean, for me, relatively easy. I know what I'm doing, but for the average person, there's no shot. Other ways to generate yield on XRP, going to the AMM, right? Going into these liquidity pools, also very
sure.
risky, right? I've done that before too. I made 70% cash on cash, but guess what? I could have made 400% if I had just held my XRP during that time, right?
I
So
know. Yeah.
there's a big learning
Yeah.
curve, and we now have removed that barrier completely with the access of just call up your broker and get an ETF. If you want to juice it and leverage it, go buy Evernorth. And it's that simple, right? Now,
There's another quick point
go.
too, which is you can't get scammed out of your
Yes.
coins. There's a lot of us that, whatever, you have a weak moment or you're hungover or you're sick in bed and somebody, hits you at the wrong time and it's Google calling you or whatever the deal is, and
It's
somebody
not me
scammed you out of
calling
your
you. It's
coins.
it's not me sending
Yeah.
you a message. Yep.
It's not Zach and Allan calling you. Okay. We're not doing that. Okay. But like if you're in an ETF or one of these NASDAQ products, can't scam you out of it.
Yeah. Yeah,
So that's
absolutely.
big.
And I think between that and then these new platforms that are rolling out the institutional grade custody, um, yeah, and this is what we needed to bring retail in, right? To bring, I try to tell my grandmother about how I make a living, and she's scared to death. She prays for me every day because she's scared that, this is what I do for a living, and she knows how much of my net worth is tied up in crypto. Um, you know, and so we got to bring them in with products that are accessible and easy enough for them to understand. And I think that this will do the trick. Now, Alan, let's talk about XRP in the broader market right now too. To me, I'm still holding to a lot of my targets that I had in 2025. I'm still expecting to see big upside on XRP. I wanted to get your take on this though, because for me right now, before we talk about big numbers of XRP, I am so focused right now on that $5 to $10 sell wall. Just all of the OGs, a lot of people, traders too, that are going to sell off their entire bag. Some folks that have been in for a while that might take a little bit of profit and de-risk between $5 and $10. There's a big sell wall, in my opinion, between $5 and $10 that we have to break through before we can talk about moving on to double digits and beyond. What's your take on that sell wall that might be sitting in front of us right there?
It's frustrating. We really got to get past, our previous high, obviously.
Right.
we just need liquidity in the market, and I know it's coming. The interest rates and all the rest of that. We know that's all going to happen. People are, again, like I said earlier, people are going to look for yield. But like you and I know, when crypto starts to move, God knows where it stops. I mean, it'll blow right through $5, in my opinion, quickly.
Hmm.
When it gets past all-time highs, of course, I thought that last time, but it didn't work out like that. But I the whole market wasn't ready. I mean, the whole stock market, everything wasn't ready. Not like it was in 21, right? Everything in 21 was ready to go and out the whole world pumped, right? But I think where $5 is going to be a little barrier. I think it'll bounce around 490 for a while, but when it gets through to 510, it'll be off to $8 to $10. I mean,
Hmm.
pretty simply, in my opinion. I'm still calling. I know I'm the guy that's the crazy guy that still thinks it's going to be $15 in this next bull.
Hmm.
But I that's an Elliott wave back from 50 cents, and those Elliott waves I've traded those for years, and they prove out. But you need the liquidity, you need the business cycle, and you need all the rest of the fundamentals to be on your side as well. And like I said, you need the psychology of the public and people who are looking for high yield. The beauty of where we stand with crypto, in particular with XRP or the top 10 coins, whatever your top coins are, is where else are people going to be able to find investment with high yield when they're concerned about AI or other things or the employment going forward and taking their jobs and the rest of those things? Where else are you going to find yield or return on your money? You're not going to the bank, and you're certainly not. Are you going to convince all your friends and neighbors to just hold a bag of XRP? No, they're not going to do that either. But when you and I start seeing returns that are through $5, $10, and $15, you and I are going to be looking for avenues to earn yield outside of that. That's where your DEX, your DeFi, and the rest of that's all going to come in. And those are some of the things I'm going to talk about at my show, which I can't wait to share with everybody. But yeah, it'll blow through $5. I don't see $5 slowing anything down. I really
Yeah, a
don't.
little
That's a
speed
number
bump.
that's a number for you and I, or people that have been in since 50 cents. They're like, hey, when it gets $5, I'm gonna empty out. No, they're not. I
Yeah.
won't.
Yeah. Well,
I
yeah,
don't
I
think so.
mean, for many of us, it's like, okay, we might have a reason where we're going to sell off 5, 10% of our bag, maybe a little bit more, a little less, but for the most of us, we're just going to hold this thing forever. And we're going to pass it on down to the children in our trust, right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't think that we can use the term super cycle just yet, considering the fact that not most cryptos even went to a new all-time high in 2025, right? I think that super cycle might be appropriate for like Bitcoin that went to a new all-time high. It might be appropriate even for XRP if you consider that, but some people still want to debate the 2018 high. But we could definitely call this an extended cycle. So your thoughts on that? I mean, is that really what we're in? Because the $15 fractal and Elliott wave that you're talking about, you're not the only one, right? And I think that because we missed it in 2025, so many people, especially newcomers, want to give up on that. Oh, you said $15 last year. You said $7 last year. Well, I'm still saying it for this year here in 2026. So guilty as
Yeah.
charged of still being bullish and still thinking that we're going to those
Yeah.
levels. But super cycle, extended cycle, what's the proper term, Alan?
Well, I think one of the things, well, I like Super Cycle, I really do. But one of the things that a lot of people should really focus on is how many coins did in this past year to hit their all-time high. Well, XRP clearly did. That whole 380 thing, I'm with Dave. That wasn't a number. Okay, so we hit an
Just real
all-time
quick
high.
for anybody who doesn't understand, even David Schwartz has said that the 380 price in 2018 was not an official all-time high. That was the kimchi
No,
premium and the Korean exchanges. Nobody bought or sold XRP at 380 in 2018. So the real
no,
all-time high was really July of 2025 at 366. Yeah.
that's right. And I really think that if you look, I've been following crypto since I don't know, late 16, early 17. If you really look at the coins that do well in these markets, call it a super cycle, whatever you want to call it, I don't care, are the ones that touch their all-time high or reach their all-time high in the previous wave. Well, let's say we're in a sideways market. And it's a crazy number too. It's only like four or five, maybe 10 coins max that did that in the last year or two. XRP being one of them, Bitcoin did it. I believe Ethereum was right at it. What was it? Just read the other day one that I'm not a big fan of, but they were one of the other coins, and I thought to myself, wow, that's just crazy. Like, how come nobody else touched those marks? Why? Because they weren't relevant. Are they not relevant for the future? I'm not saying that. What I am saying is the fundamentals of Wall Street banking, fundamental investors, people around the world, they see value and they saw value and they looked at it. Remember, was it back October when we just had those leaps and bounds where we were climbing? That wasn't Joe Sixpack buying XRP. That was banking institutions and financial institutions saying, "Hey, I better have this product. We need to have this product," and that base isn't going to sell. That's not what they do. It's just like the ETFs. ETFs, sure, they trade a little bit, but over the long period, it's a purchase and hold, and
Hmm.
that's so super cycle. Yeah, maybe, but we haven't even touched a bull market yet. That's
Yeah.
my opinion. And yeah, I got 25 wrong. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah. Well,
no question.
if you were in crypto, you got it wrong. So we don't need to point fingers and beat up
Yeah,
anybody, right? If you were in
yeah,
crypto at all, you thought we were going to go higher than we did. We all missed, right? But, I've been talking about it as we enter 2026, bringing the conversation back to utility, right? Because in 2025 we had a lot of narratives driving. Hopium's not going to sell this thing, and at least it's not going to last, right? You can only sell hopium and narratives for so long. And so we got to get this conversation back to the utility, back to the fundamentals. I know that this is what you focused on with your channel. I know that you're going to be looking a little bit more forward with your conference and event that you're having here at the end of this month. And I think that that's what a lot of us need to be focused on, right? If you've already gotten to the point where you believe in XRP, you got your bag, it's now about preserving that wealth, mitigating taxes, setting it up for your family, and then how do we generate yield on these assets without having to sell? And so, can you briefly touch on that? What you're going to be discussing here at your conference coming up at the end of the month?
well, yeah, I can. A lot of what I really believe in is not putting your crypto at risk ever. Ever. I it's really why I went down the DeFi rabbit holes. I thought, well, okay. I remember getting, you know, hammered years ago with anyway, let's not get into those bad days. But we we all tried to create yield and lost a lot of coins. And I don't want to see that happen to anybody ever again.
Mhm.
So what I really want you to do is hold on to your bag, keep your bag, and find other ways to earn yield on your money. And that's really what I'm looking at doing. So we don't put your coins at risk. I'm not telling you to put your coins at risk. I'm not playing around with DeFi. The products that I hope to help you with are more along the lines of what are you doing with your 401k? What are you doing with the profits that you've taken or you've sold other crypto? What are you doing with that capital? Is that capital working for you daily? When you sleep at night, did you make money when you woke up the next day? And I'm not just talking about the crypto price go up. I'm talking about you earning a monthly income of anywhere between 3 to 10% monthly. If you're not earning those kind of returns on your money, you're, and especially while you're just sleeping all night long, your money isn't working for you.
Mhm.
Your money is working for a banker or somebody else. And that's not the system I want to see you in. And frankly, I don't think you're going to be able to last long in the future going forward, being able to just try and, oh, well, I'll just be Joe Sixpack and work 40 hours a week and try and get a pension because 40 years from now I can retire. That's not the plan anymore. You've got to create yield. You've got to get smarter. A lot of us have learned about what the whole system has enslaved us with. And it's like, hey, this whole system is rotten from the core out. How do I get out of that system? And how do I get into something that teaches me how to go to the university and the knowledge of stable, well, not just stable, financial rewards for yourself? Your family and generations from now are going to be determined today. This past 5 years and the next 5 years, I think, in my opinion, financially is the most important time that we've ever been in
Yeah.
because AI and tech is coming. And it's like, how are you going to compete with that? How do you plan on, are you going to just be on the dole? Are you just going to sit around and, UBI? Is that your game plan? Hopefully that's not your plan. If you're following Zach, I know that's not your plan. You better have a strategy with precious metals. You better have it with crypto, and you better have an avenue of income stream.
Mhm.
That's what my show's about. I
Sure.
don't. I can't get into too much detail about what all that is because that's really for the people that have purchased a ticket and aren't going to travel all the way. But after the show, I will be discussing that on my Thursday nights for sure, and I will have guests on the show that will teach all of you a lot of what I just explained.
I'm excited to see that and to tune in because I know that I misbehave too much. I'm too much of a troublemaker to receive a UBI check. So I won't be able to be Joe Sixpack that collects the UBI. I have been flagged too many times there, Alan. So
Probably
I'm
not.
excited to see how the conference goes, and maybe we'll get you back on the show so you can explain some of those things that you're working on. I think that this is kind of what we're all working on together right now. We're trying to just keep our XRP secure, our other crypto assets that are focused on real utility, keep those secure. And then how can we earn on that? How can we compound? Because even if you are making just, 1 or 2, 3%, with inflation still going at those rates, you're barely keeping up. And so not only do you not want to be in a position where you're not making anything, right? And nothing's happening, you need to be outpacing the inflation and the destruction of our dollar. And that goes not just for our US audience, that's the international audience as well too. So, Alan, I want to thank you for
Great.
coming back on here today. It's always a pleasure connecting with you. I love how you always keep it positive. We're going to link up your YouTube channel down below. We'll put the link for your event down below. And I just encourage everybody to go get tapped in with Alan. If you're in the area or you can make it to his event, get there. I know it's going to be worth your while. And so, Alan, any final closing statements from your end?
No, Zach, I'm just thanks. It's been too long since I've been on your show, actually. I was just trying to think about it. It's been a long time. Your community is a big part of what we do here. Your honesty and truth and what you do and the way you present it is keeping us all together and keeps us all informed. And I'm really proud to be not just on your show. I'm proud to I call you a friend and a brother in arms. And we are doing the good fight together. And I really appreciate your time and thank you very much. And I'm going to be not just at the show, I'm going to be there for everybody all week. So if you're in South Florida and you want to hang out with a bunch of great people, get a hold of us because it's going to be a lot of fun. Zach, we're going to miss you, but hey, a little birdie and a little rumor says that maybe one day we'll have something on the West Coast or the Northwest region, which would be a lot of fun.
Well, I'll be there, and my wife did get me a new set of golf clubs, so I'm going to be working on the sticks there. So if we do play
Nice.
some golf, I can't guarantee I'll hit it straight, but I'm going to smack the hell out of it. Alan, it's always a pleasure. Everybody go follow Alan. And on the way out, if you guys could help us out by liking this video, share it out far and wide. Let's get this message spread. Let's grow the XRP family and let's go crush it in 2026. There it is. Appreciate you, Alan.
Yeah,
Thank you.
backwards. All right, guys. Thanks again for having me, Zach. Appreciate you, brother.
All right. God bless you all. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.